Some sources saying we're getting the EF-M system phased out in 2021, but other sources are saying we're getting a high-end EF-M camera shortly, the M7, and we've got specifications. Contradictions abound. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Simon. Thanks for tuning into The Ordinary Filmmaker. If you're new here, subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one so you don't miss any news, rumors, or tutorials. And all the links to everything I talk about in this video, including gear discussed, are placed in the description down below, along with my affiliate links. So if you need camera gear and you also want to help support this channel, consider using the affiliate links down below for B&H and Amazon.com. And don't forget, if you're in Canada, to check out Downtown Camera. I've been a little preoccupied with the Canon RF 800mm. I should have released this video yesterday about the M7. Canon Rumours talked about the M7 specifications, but they also stated that sources are saying the end is near for the EF-M mount. I'll cover the specifications later, but ending development for the EF-M mount? Well, let's deal with that now. Now, Gregg has anonymous sources stating that Canon will kill off the EF-M mount in 2021. So before I get into the specs, let's address the likelihood that the EF-M mount is in its twilight hours. If you can remember, back last year in around September, Canon released the M6 Mark II. They did so right alongside the 90D. Gregg also posted several stories, again from anonymous sources, stating that we'd be getting more EF-M bodies this year. To date, Canon Rumours has stories on us getting the M50 Mark II, the M5 Mark II, as well as a high-end M camera, most likely the M7, the subject of this story. All were rumored to come out this year. Now, some of these rumors happened before, well, COVID-19 struck. Some stories even said we'd get M bodies this September and October. Others said late December, and still others said Q1 of 2021. If you've lost count, that's 3 new EF-M bodies. But each source, as I stated earlier, comes from anonymous or unknown sources. So what about EF-M lenses? Well, we haven't received a new EF-M lens since early 2019. It was actually announced in 2018, but didn't really show up until 2019. And so far in 2020, nothing at all. But this isn't any cause for alarm. Canon releases an EF-M lens, well, 1 or 2 of them every year or so, with the exception of 2017. Rumors claim that we will have 5 new EF-M lenses coming out between September 2020 and Q2 of 2021. The last time we got an update on an EF-M lens was in March, before the world economy grinded to a halt. And that story said we'd get the EF-M 15mm f2, the 52mm f2, and both of these are STM lenses, the 60mm f4, which is also STM but image stabilized, and the 18 to 45 f2.8 to 4, also image stabilized in STM, and finally the EF-M 100 to 300 f5.6 to 8 image stabilized STM lens. So what does all this mean? It's worth stating again, these rumors are from unknown sources, so it's difficult to gauge what, if anything, will happen. EF-M rumors are really all over the place this year. Sources are contradicting each other. I would really avoid making any decision based on rumors unless, of course, you see Canon Rumours labeling these rumors as CR2 or CR3. And once you get to CR2, this means that Canon Rumours is getting this information from trusted and or reliable sources. And CR3, they're pretty much getting to the point where the sources are so good they consider the information to be fact. So let's change the narrative to product segments and price points. Current EF-M bodies cost between $650 to $850 just for the body alone. They can often be kitted out for not much more than $1,000 or even $900 if there's a sale on. The M mount is Canon's mirrorless APS-C line. Canon also has a DSLR line, which was refreshed recently with the Rebel T8i, and that was just a few months ago, and of course the 90D last September. I see about 5 scenarios. The first one, Canon continues to make M-mount bodies and lenses as long as there's demand, but they're not going to release or develop any new bodies or lenses. Number 2, Canon continues to make APS-C DSLR bodies and lenses as long as there's demand, but doesn't release new bodies or lenses either. Both of these scenarios hint at the end of the line for all pretty much APS-C cameras from Canon, both DSLR and mirrorless, and I think that's unlikely. DLS perhaps, or DSLR perhaps. Now, a third scenario, we'll see Canon continue to develop the DSLRs, but this is unlikely because Canon has already stated that there's going to be no new development for the EF mount. Efforts are going to be focused on the RF mount. Now, that's referring to both EF and EFS, not EFM. A fourth scenario is that Canon will continue to invest in the M mount system. But a fifth scenario, while remote, becomes more likely into the future, and that is developing an APS-C RF body. We've already had a rumor supporting this. I know, conjecture supported by rumor? I can't believe I just said that, but it does kind of make sense if done right. The rumor stated that we would get a high-end APS-C RF body sometime in 2020. Again, this was back in March, April. The rumor was a CR1 and was, well, it hasn't really been updated since. But why not? I can't think of a good reason why it can't happen. But any credible rumor or story about an APS-C RF body would quickly slow down sales of current EFM bodies and lenses. Now, regardless of which scenario you think is most likely, there's nothing right now but conjecture supporting rumors, and without any evidence, there's no reason to think that Canon will cease investment in the mirrorless APS-C line. It's Canon's most affordable interchange lens camera line. Top-end M-mount cameras like the M6 Mark II are far more capable and current than the 2-year-old Canon RP and EOS R. I almost said that wrong. Yep, make sure I said that right. It's the Canon RP and EOS R. Now, Canon borrowed the sensor technology from the 5D Mark IV in those two cameras, but didn't really improve much in dynamic range, and they had the same limitations. And for a camera that came out in 2018, not having 120 frames per second in 1080 was seen as being behind the scenes, let alone now in 2020. For video shooters, while the EOS R offers better quality and detail, it's missing many of the features found in comparable Sony and Nikon cameras. But this is not about which is the best full-frame Canon camera or the best entry-level full-frame Canon camera for the ordinary filmmaker. It's to point out that to get the same level of capabilities found in the top-end mirrorless APS-C camera, one has to spend a lot more money in Canon's full-frame segment. Killing off the EFN mount doesn't make any sense unless Canon already has something to replace it, like an APS-C RF mirrorless camera. Until we have more concrete information, or until we have any concrete information, I don't see any EFM system going anywhere and will continue to receive investment from Canon in both bodies and lenses. With all that being said, let's get back to the M7. Canon Rumours reports that the M7 will have a 32 megapixel sensor with head, eye, and animal eye autofocus. The same system found in the Canon R5 and R6. It will also have IBIS and support 4K up to 60 frames per second. Now, there is no mention if it will have all eye or IPB, but from what we're seeing with Canon doing lately, one has to spend $4,000 these days to get all eye in a camera. 1080 includes frame rates up to 120 frames per second, providing buttery smooth slow motion. And we'll also see C-Log in the M7. Now, while the M7 supports 12 frames per second in photo mode, that's without autofocus being active. And this is the same marketing device Canon pulled with the EOS R. And I believe the EOS R provided, what was it, 8 frames per second? Might have been 7, but I believe it was 8 frames per second. But once autofocus was set to continuous, you'd be lucky to get 3 frames per second that were usable. Is it all worth $15.99? I'm not sure. And that's because I don't feel like we're getting all the information here. As always, video specs look very good, as they did with the R5. But I wonder where the cripple hammer will strike. But as this rumor is from unknown sources, I won't waste any more time speculating. But what do you think? How could this camera, if real, be crippled? Could it offer 4K 60 or 4K 30? Something like the $24.99 R6 cannot deliver? Now, the rumor did mention overheating in 4K 120, but not in other modes. And for me personally, the amount of 4K1 shooting I do, I don't really think that's an issue. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Where's the cripple hammer going to attack this camera? And do you believe that these specifications are even remotely true? We've seen a lot of cameras coming out lately. The Panasonic S5, very similar price point. Also a full frame mirrorless camera. But I think it might have had a few more aggressive features. But I don't know. It's really hard to say. This is from unknown sources. And even Craig himself said he's not too sure about this information. And a big shout out to Gregg at Canon Rumours. I think he does a great job of providing reliable information. And the way he grades the Rumours, I think, is very, very helpful to us. And don't forget, when he does put out Rumours, take a look to see what if it's CR1, CR2, CR3, or even a CR0. He puts those ratings there so that you can determine how much grain of salt to take with them. In this very short behind the scenes segment, I want to tell you a little bit more about lighting. I've made another change. I was given some advice, and at first I thought I didn't want to change things up too much because it takes a lot of work to test things out, check it, film it, take it into editing, check it, fiddle around with it, bring it back here, edit presets, save presets, and all that wonderful stuff. But I was a bit of an idiot yesterday. I decided to film a nice long video, do a lot of video editing, go out and shoot a lot of video. I still haven't edited most of what I captured yesterday, including the wonderful moon shots that I got with the RF 800mm, which will be coming out later. I might sneak a little bit at the very end of this video or right here. I don't know. I don't want to take away from the 800 RF review, but I just worked too much yesterday, and I did rejig the lighting, so the lighting is a little bit different now. The tolerances haven't changed, but I did change these to 5200, and in the white balance, I've set that to 5200 as well, and I made sure it's set to neutral. And when I registered these settings to C1, I forgot that after I updated the C1 settings, it doesn't save it. You have to adjust the settings in manual mode and then re-register those settings into C1. So anything you make changes to one of those custom modes, once you shut off the camera and start it back up again, those changes are gone unless you re-register them. So what do you think of the lighting here? It should be a little bit better, a little bit more natural, but it's a bit of a learning experience. And I promise you guys, I am going to come out with a video that talks about my studio setup. I'll probably save that till about 15,000 subscribers, because there's still a little bit more I want to do before I'm ready to produce that video. But thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. Don't forget to subscribe for your chance to win the Canon EOS R5. I do have a video in the description down below that provides more details. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.